Today's video is not exactly for everyone, but if you want to learn about how innovation can transcend time and you're willing to be patient enough to listen, then this video will be for you. So I was just having some, should I call it random thoughts? I'll tell you what led to it. So apparently I stumbled on an opportunity recently and I thought to, have a look. This is a topic I'm interested in. I looked at it, but I found out that what I was used to, the idea of how I solved the problem was a little different from what the opportunity demanded. Thank God for AI. So I thought, but I know this. I have a solution that's, an idea that seems like an, all-time favorite, something that works almost all the time. But the feedback I'm getting is that this is not the kind of solution that they're looking for. So I run it by AI. That's the advantage of having AI these days. And it says, this is a great solution, but for this application, you need to rephrase it. And this AI explained to me bit by bit how my solution can be accepted, but I just needed to frame it better. And it got me thinking seriously. It got me thinking really hard how we get very attached to the ideas that we have. For those of you who are Christians, you say, the Holy Spirit gave you an idea. Maybe he gave you the idea in 2010. This is 2026. You want to interpret the idea the very same way you did in 2010. Do you think it will work? The world is moving very fast, and we need to learn to actually move with it. So while thinking of how to unpack this idea for you, my wonderful audience, I thought of the lock key experience. So I decided to prove to you today, to remind those of you that don't know, that I actually have medical training. Yes, I'm a trained pharmacist. So I thought to make my lecturers proud today because even though I'm no longer practicing, to let them know that the knowledge that I gathered from medical school or from pharmacy school is still very much relevant. And today I'm using the lock and key experiment to explain this to you. So we know how we have antibiotics, right? Yes, we have antibiotics. Why do we have antibiotics? Because of bacteria or because of microbes. And there's a global public health concern or a global health problem or a growing global health concern. What is it? Antimicrobial resistance, AMR. And why is that? Because even bacteria, even microbes are innovating. So let me give this experiment. Let's say this is the bacteria and this key, so the bacteria is the padlock and the key is what? The antibiotics. So every time the bacteria locks to our cells in the body, because that's the only way it can survive within the body. Once it gets into the body, it has to bind with the cells to be able to feed, and the antibiotics does what? Comes and unlocks it. But then the microorganism or the bacteria begins to say, so this is what they used to unlock us every time. Why don't we find a way to ensure that this key doesn't work anymore? The bacteria is innovating and says, okay, it's either they change the way this point appears so that the lock appears so that the key does not go in anymore, or they decide to innovate a scissors that can cut off the edge of the key. Once this place is broken, you and I know, those of us who have experience with things like this, that this key will not work anymore. So see, research, innovation in medicine started. So they thought, okay, if bacteria is getting smarter, we need to preserve the human race. What can we also do to ensure that these guys don't outsmart us? Then they created something else. In this case, I would call this key amoxil, And what I'm about to introduce to outsmart their scissors plan, clavulanic acid, forget it. It's what we Nigerians know as augmentin. So it's a brand of amoxicillin and clavulanic acid. So just forget all the grammar, just listen to my explanation. So in order to deceive this padlock that wants to get a scissors to chop it off, once it's coming to unlock it, it's locked again. Once it's coming to unlock it and it brings out its scissors, it cuts off this paper and he thinks he has succeeded. But unknown to it, it's a trap. And you open again. And it just got me thinking so much. How many ideas that God gave you, how many ideas you conceived that could have been $1 million ideas, not just $1 million ideas, but ideas that actually meet the needs of people, that got wasted. They got wasted. Why? Because you did not know how to innovate the ideas that you have. You didn't know how to adapt it to be able to adjust to the changing times. Thank God for technology. Thank God for AI. How are you utilizing it to innovate your ideas? Things that were relevant, we all know how we say there's nothing new under the sun. Things that were relevant 50 years ago, 20 years ago, there are ways to reinvent them to become relevant in this age. There are ways to do that. What idea, which of your many ideas are you going to reinvent to become relevant in this day? Stay innovative.